Hi there, I'm Nicole Lang, and you do not have to settle for fragmented care anymore. I'm here with fertility care that's compassionate first, whole you always, and backed by real science. And today, I hope to save you $400 and months of stressing out over numbers that probably don't mean what you think they mean. We're going to talk about Dutch tests and why chasing perfect hormone graphs might actually be getting in your way. Okay, real talk. Have you been told you should do a Dutch test, or maybe you've already gotten one, and now you're sort of spiraling over all those colorful graphs and lines? Here's the thing about the Dutch test. They test your hormones at like 4 random moments on one random Tuesday, and then everybody treats those numbers like they're the absolute truth about your hormones. But here's what nobody mentions. Your hormones are supposed to be all over the place. That's literally their job. The endocrine system should be called the dynamic AF hormone system. Like progesterone, for example. It can swing from really low to totally normal and back again in less than 2 hours. One study showed that in the same healthy, fertile women's progesterone test, it can bounce from 2 to 40 within a single day. That's a 9-fold change, and it's totally normal. So when your test says low progesterone, was it actually low, or did you just pee at 2 instead of 3 and that's where you caught it? It's like taking a picture of a roller coaster at the bottom of a drop and being like, oh, that ride is all low. Your hormones are a roller coaster. They're supposed to be dynamic and moving. So what happens after you get a result like you've got low progesterone? Total tunnel vision. Baby blinders, right? Suddenly everything becomes about fixing that thing. I had a patient, I'll call her Sarah, who came clutching her Dutch test results like they were a treasure map, and she had already bought $200 worth of supplements to navigate, completely convinced she had finally found her problem. So I asked her about her actual cycle, and it's like perfect. More textbook than 90% of the people I work with. Regular, clear ovulation, feels great throughout, has this perfectly normal length luteal phase, and she's like, but look, low progesterone. And I was like, according to one test, but your body's literally showing me every month that things are working really well. Zooming out, though, at her actual life, it turned out that Sarah was sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night, working way too much, hadn't seen her friends in months because she was too busy trying to optimize her fertility. And I'm thinking, this is fertility culture doing her dirty. Her body didn't need a whole bunch more supplements. It needed to get some sleep and hang out with friends. We worked on the actual life stuff together, and Sarah was pregnant within 3 months. Same cycle as always, because her cycle and her progesterone were never the problem. The test had given her something to fixate on and stress out about instead of looking at the real stuff. Okay, so here's where some faux holistic practitioners might get a little mad at me. I'm going to be honest. Most of the supplement protocols that seem really elegant that people create based on Dutch tests are basically really expensive protocols based on fancy sounding ideas that have little to no research proving them right. Low something, take an adaptogen. High something else, take this one. Flat cortisol curve on your graph, here's 5 more things to take. But show me the actual research showing that this helps you, much less gets you pregnant. Like, show me the study that says women with cycle issues who have other things to work on, but their hormones are off on their Dutch test, this is the way. That study doesn't exist. Meanwhile, the stuff that does exist and does legitimately help fertility and is evidence-based, like sleeping enough, eating regularly, not being stressed continuously, and fixing actual medical issues, these things don't require $400 send-in tests. It just requires being honest about what your body's actually telling you and investigating with a standard kind of practitioner. So what should you do instead? Track what your body's actually doing to get a baseline if you don't already have one. Either take a BBT temperature chart for 1 month, I have instructions on my blog about this, or do some DIY home monitoring with something like a Mira monitor. That'll tell you way more than peeing in cups 4 times on one random Tuesday. And then ask yourself some real questions. Am I ovulating? Are my periods normal? Do I feel okay most of the time? When don't I feel okay? Look at these things. You probably don't need to go hunting for invisible problems. Instead, work on these basics. Sleep more. Eat actual meals. Stop trying to be perfect at everything. Have some fun. Find some connection. Your body needs to feel safe to make a baby. It doesn't feel safe when you're taking 20 supplements, eating the same 7 foods, and panicking over charts. In my full blog about Dutch testing, I will dig way more into the nuances of Dutch testing, including talking about cortisol, androgen hormones, and more. I get into the nitty-gritty of when testing actually is useful, which tests matter, the whole cortisol curve situation, and a pretty wild story about someone whose test said she had quite high male hormones, but had a perfect cycle. And look, if you already did a Dutch test, no judgment. You were trying to figure stuff out. It's totally understandable. This is a culture level problem, not a bad choice by you problem. But here's what I want you to know. Those numbers, they don't define your fertility. Your actual body, what it's doing every month, how it feels, how safe it is, that's your real information. The question isn't what's wrong with my hormones. The question is, what is my body telling me all day, every day about what's right and what might be able to benefit from a little extra support. Your body is constantly telling you the answers. You don't need a fancy test to listen to it. That is fertility care that is compassionate first, whole you always, and backed by real science. My full blog post is at lifehealinglife.com. The link is below. And seriously, drop me a comment if you've been down this Dutch testing rabbit hole. Let me know what you think. I want to hear your stories. And I'll see you next time.